This is Lake Effect Radio. Good morning, and this is the news at 10 here on Lake Effect Radio. Russian and Syrian special forces have rescued the second pilot of a Russian warplane shot down by Turkey, and he is now at a Russian airbase, Russia's defense minister said today. Quote, the operation ended successfully. Yeah. The second pilot has been brought to our base. He is alive and well, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said. Mr. Shoigu thanked, quote, all our guys who worked at great risk all night. President Vladimir Putin later confirmed the second pilot was, quote, saved, and, quote, he and the other participants, including the rescue operation, will be awarded state honors. The plane's other pilot, who died as he was fired at from the ground, will posthumously be given Russia's highest award for valor, the Hero of the Russian Federation Medal, Mr. Putin said. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov today said that Moscow was not planning on going to war against Turkey after Ankara's downing of a Russian fighter jet. Quote, we do not plan to go to war with Turkey. Our attitude towards the Turkish people has not changed, Mr. Lavrov said, but warned that Moscow would, quote, seriously reevaluate its ties with Ankara. Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu said his government did not want to fuel tensions with, quote, our friend, Russia. Quote, we have no intention to strain ties with the Russian Federation, the Prime Minister told ruling party members in Parliament. Quote, Russia is our friend and our neighbor. Turkey's F-16 shot down the Russian plane under its rules of engagement on the Syrian border, prompting an angry response from Moscow, with President Vladimir Putin warning in Ankara it would have serious consequences. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov canceled a scheduled visit to Turkey, while Putin called for Russians not to visit the country. Turkish Prime Minister Davutoglu said the plane that violated Turkish airspace was downed. It was seen as a, quote, threat, but he called for de-escalation in relations with its major trade partner Russia. Quote, we have very strong economic, commercial, and cultural bonds with Russia, he said, adding that the communication channels with Moscow were wide open. But he warned that it was Turkey's, quote, natural right to protect its borders and national security. Quote, Turkey does not have an eye on any country's soil, he said. Quote, targeting Russia or any other country is out of the question, he added. A white Chicago policeman has been charged with murdering a black teenager hours before authorities released a graphic video showing the youth walking away from officers as he was shot 16 times. Officer Jason Van Dyke is the first Chicago police officer charged with murder for an on-duty incident in decades. The footage of last year's shooting, taken from a camera mounted on a dashboard of a police car and made public under orders from a judge, prompted mostly peaceful street demonstrations in Chicago. The footage shows 17-year-old Laquan McDonald, who authorities said was carrying a pocket knife and had the hallucinogenic drug PCP in his system, as he was shot dead in the middle of the street on October 20, 2014. He is seen jogging away from patrol vehicles, pursuing him from behind, and then veering off diagonally at a walk as two more officers pull up in a squad car ahead of him. Two policemen are shown jumping out of their vehicle in the center of the road and drawing their weapons while advancing towards McDonald, who continues to move away. Within seconds, he is struck by bullets, spins, and crumples to the ground, his body jerking as he is hit by additional rounds of gunfire. Cook County's chief prosecutor, Anita Olivares, acknowledged that she timed the filing of the first-degree murder charge against Officer Van Dyke to precede the video's disclosure and bid to mute harsh public reaction to the footage. If you are interested in watching this, if you feel it is necessary, it's very graphic and people could find distressing. You can go to rte.ie for this. There's probably other sites you can go to, but that's one I'm looking at right now. Quote, with release of this video, it's really important for public safety that the citizens of Chicago know that this officer is being held responsible for his actions, the prosecutor said. Video originally was expected to be released today in compliance with the deadline set by a judge. However, police said they made the clip public yesterday evening after it was leaked to a local television station. Technical issues were blamed for a lack of audio with the tape. Authorities, including Mayor Rahm Emanuel, appealed for calm as the city hoped to avert the turmoil of a race and the use of lethal police force that has shaken much of the United States for more than a year. Hundreds of protesters gathered after dark a few miles east of the site of the shooting. They marched through the streets chanting, quote, "You don't get to kill us and tell us how to feel. You don't get to shoot us and tell us how to heal." Police said 2 protesters were arrested after a scuffle on Michigan Avenue. Quote, "It's a good start that they have charged this police officer, but we've clearly reached a point where something needs to change," said one protester. The video and the prosecutor's account of the shooting contradicted assertions by Officer Van Dyke's lawyers and the police union that the shooting was justified because he felt threatened by a teenager. That does have some questions, especially considering the nature of PCP. I think the big thing is, did he know he was on PCP or had a good idea that he was on PCP? As for whether or not that's the case, I don't know. That's for a jury to decide now. Prosecutors said Officer Van Dyke fired shots within 30 seconds of arriving at the scene and just 6 seconds after emerging from his patrol car, emptying his gun at the deceased McDonald and preparing to reload. McDonald was hit by 16 rounds, all from Officer Van Dyke's weapon, the prosecutor added. Officer Van Dyke was denied bail at a hearing in Chicago's main criminal courthouse hours after criminal charges were announced. He could face 20 years to life in prison if convicted. Illinois is not a capital punishment state. McDonald's family called for calm, as did city authorities and black community leaders. Quote, "No one understands anger more than us, but if you choose to speak out, we urge you to be peaceful. Don't resort to violence in McDonald's name. Let his legacy be better than that," his family said in a statement through their lawyer. The suspected ringleader of the Paris attacks and accomplice plan to blow themselves up in a suicide attack in the city's La Défense business district, chief prosecutor said this evening. Yes, that would be... This was released at 7:45 GMT this morning. Belgian jihadist Abdulhamid Abouad aimed to target the area in the west part of the French capital, where many major French companies have their headquarters. In the week after November 13th at carnage, Paris prosecutor François Molin told reporters. Abouad was killed in a mass police raid in an apartment in northern Paris 5 days after a series of suicide bombings and shootings in the capital, which killed 130 people. The prosecutor also revealed that telephone analysis showed that Abouad returned to the scene of the attacks while the siege at the Bataclan concert venue was still underway. The analysis showed he had gone back to the area around the Bataclan in eastern Paris, where 90 people were killed by 3 assailants, while the police operation to free hostages was ongoing. The analysis, quote, leads us to believe that Abouad returned to the scene of the crimes after the attack carried out on people sitting at tables in restaurants, while the BRI, or the elite police, were intervening at the Bataclan, the prosecutor said. Abouad had been in contact with Bilal Hadfi, one of the suicide bombers who detonated his explosives outside the Stade de France stadium, the prosecutor said. France will not send ground troops to Syria, French President François Hollande said this evening at the White House. Yesterday evening, presumably. Quote, "France will not intervene militarily on the ground," Mr. Hollande said, standing alongside U.S. President Obama. Quote, it is for local forces to do so, he said. Mr. Hollande said the U.S. and France have agreed to set up strikes in Syria and Iraq to target Daesh militants. He said he and Mr. Obama agreed on the importance of closing the Turkish border to limit the movement of extremists into Europe. Mr. Obama emphasized long friendship between France and the United States, dating back to the American Revolution, if you remember your history, and pledged to step up efforts to combat terrorism alongside his European partners. Quote, "As Americans, we stand by our friends in good times and bad, no matter what," Mr. Obama said. Mr. Hollande is trying to rally support this week for a more coordinated international effort to destroy Daesh. He is due to visit Moscow on Thursday. Good luck with that, especially considering what just happened in Turkey. Quote, "We are here today to declare that the United States and France stand united in total solidarity to deliver justice to these terrorists and those who send them and to defend our nations," Obama said. Mr. Obama called Daesh a, quote, "barbaric terrorist group," adding that, quote, "its murderous ideology poses a serious threat to all of us. It cannot be tolerated, it must be destroyed, and we must do it together." Or, if you want to say it in some sort of pseudo-Latin, Daesh delande est. Yeah, Daesh delande est. DDE. Meanwhile, Belgium has charged a fifth person in connection with the attacks in Paris. Last night, Belgian anti-terrorism judge charged a fourth person in connection with the attacks. That suspect was arrested in serious police raids in Belgium on Sunday night, along with 15 other people who are all released without charge, as authorities warned of a Paris-style plot facing Brussels. Belgian officials have yesterday evening issued an Interpol red alert for a man seen driving a car with key Paris attack suspect Salah Abdeslam 2 days before the atrocities. Mohamed Abrini, 29, was filmed along Abdeslam at the petrol station or gas station in Raison on the motorway to Paris in Renault Clio, which was later used in the attacks, Belgium's federal prosecutor said in a statement. Brussels will remain under highest level alert for another week due to an ongoing terrorism threat, but schools and the underground train system will reopen soon. Quote, the crisis center decided to maintain alert level 4, which means the threat remains serious and imminent, Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel said, adding the threat level will be reviewed again next week. Quote, we want to thank the people for their calm and understanding, he added. Belgian army and police will continue to be deployed in force, and the country will reduce the number of events with large crowds over fears of a repeat of Paris, he said. But he added his government was trying to bring the country, quote, back to normal as quickly as possible while working with the security services. Quote, for schools, that means in the coming hours we will guarantee a level of security everywhere on the country's territory, the Prime Minister said. For a country about the size of Belgium, that's relatively easy. Further quote, as for the metro, the aim is to reopen the metro gradually, but starting on Wednesday, which will be today. The rest of the country will remain on alert level 3, which means an attack is considered possible and the threat credible. Brussels has been locked down since Saturday, with armed police and troops patrolling quiet streets. Meanwhile, the United States State Department has issued a worldwide travel alert warning U.S. citizens of, quote, increased terrorist threats in the wake of the Paris attacks. Quote, current information suggests that Daesh, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and other terrorist groups continue to plan terrorist attacks in multiple regions, said the State Department advisory. The advisory cited recent attacks in Denmark, France, Mali, Nigeria, and Turkey. Quote, U.S. citizens should exercise vigilance when in public places or using transportation, it said, advising Americans to avoid large crowds or crowded places. A U.S. student was among one of the 130 killed in Paris attacks. Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull said today called for greater intelligence sharing in Southeast Asia to stop a Paris-style attack. Quote, from an Australian perspective, we see a real risk that terrorist groups in the region might be inspired by attacks such as we've seen in Accra, Beirut, Bamako, and Paris, and we are mindful of the fact that hundreds of thousands of Australians visit Southeast Asia every year, he said. Australia is conducting airstrikes against Daesh in Syria as part of a U.S.-led coalition, which has led to threats of retaliatory attacks. France will install security gates at stations in Paris and Lille for the Thalys Cross Europe services by December 20th, French Minister Ségolène Royal said today. A gunman opened fire at the Thalys train station from Amsterdam to Paris in August, but he was overpowered by passengers. You may remember hearing that several months ago. Ayoub El-Kazani held a Kalashnikov rifle and other weapons. The 25-year-old has been charged with attempted murder of a terrorist nature. Prosecutors say he was carrying 270 bullets for his rifle and a bottle of gas, in addition to a Luger pistol and a box cutter. So that's, I'm thinking, 9 magazines worth, assuming 30 round magazines. Separately, Jawad Benouad, the man who provided accommodation in the St. Denis apartment to 3 people killed in a police raid there last week, will appear before an anti-terrorism judge today, a judicial source told Reuters. Some people have been calling him Daesh's landlord on the internet. Abdelhamid Abouad, I probably butchered their names. I don't care at this point. A Belgian of Moroccan origin and a suspected orchestrator of the Paris attacks. Asana Abitoualchin, a woman police believe had links to Abouad, and a third unidentified person were killed in that raid. We will return after this commercial break. This is Lake Effect Radio.
You're listening to magnificent, fantastic Lake Effect Radio from Lakeland Community College in Cutland, Ohio.
Community College. Opportunity starts here. Begin your associate degree or technical certificate conveniently at the main campus in Kirtland or Lakeland East in Madison for a quality education at an affordable price. Visit lakelandcc.edu.
Are you a single mom? If you are, there's a program called SMART, or Single Mothers Achieving Real Triumph. SMART is a support, networking, and scholarship program which helps single mothers achieve academic success. The requirements: you must participate and be a new student either in your first or second semester in college, have demonstrated financial need, or attend colleges on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least 6 credits, and you must be available to attend workshops. Students must be enrolled in English 0111 or English 1111 to participate. This is an on-campus daytime program, and some of the program benefits are: you can gain access to resources which are available to students that you might not otherwise know about, acquire skills to help you interact effectively with instructors and college personnel, and meet weekly for support and networking. If you're interested in this program, give a call to the Women's Center at Lakeland Community College at 440-525-7322 or email vwilliams@lakelandcc.edu.
Military veteran students who study at Lakeland first meet with a Veterans Affairs certifying official who processes and certifies educational benefits for eligible students. The staff has been phenomenal, said Lakeland student Michael Dugan, who is a retired Chief Petty Officer from the U.S. Coast Guard. The Veterans Lounge is a great place to frequent prior to class. It's great to be able to show up a few hours early, do some final prep, enjoy a snack, and be able to meet fellow veterans. A generous grant from Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC, helped to set up a Veterans Lounge in 2013. The space, complete with study areas, a computer and printer, a refrigerator, and a television, serve as a meeting point for student veterans on campus to connect. Each May, graduating student veterans are recognized at the college's Veterans Recognition and Graduation Banquet.
We're listening to Lake Effect Radio. Keep rocking around the clock tower, guys.
Library hours for fall semester starting August 22nd and ends December 11th. We are open Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We are closed Sundays, and also we are closed on September 7th and November 26th through the 29th. Changes to hours will be posted. Call 440-525-7424 for more information.
Come watch the Lakeland basketball teams as they take on Lorain County Community College at Lakeland on February 10th. The women's start at 5:30 and the men's start at 7:30. You can listen on www.livestream.com/Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
Check us out at twitter.com/Lake Effect Radio for upcoming events, interviews, and much, much more.
For one-on-one personal research assistance, make an appointment with a Lakeland librarian. Lakeland librarians offer personal help with research for assignments, projects, and papers. Stop by the library, reference desk, or call 440-525-7425 to schedule an appointment for a 20, 30, or 40-minute session. The library is located on the 3rd floor of the C building.
Did you know in C3051 the library has a display called Help? This display highlights select services on campus for student success. This Beatles-themed display lists campus departments students can turn to for help. It contains lists of on-campus workshops as well as library materials for students while helping them navigate the long and winding road to success. The library is located on the 3rd floor of C building in C3051. The display will be available from November 9th through December 11th. For more information about the library display, please call 440-525-7424.
Hey, this is Pritchett from Before the Streetlights. Check us out on Instagram at BTSL Official.
This is Lake Effect Radio. Indeed, it is. Back to the news. Schools and many metro stations in Brussels have reopened after being shut down 4 days ago in a security crackdown following Paris attacks. But the Belgian capital remains on highest alert with hundreds of armed police and soldiers on patrol. Authorities feared the possibility of Paris-style attacks as several of the attackers were based in Brussels. France says 130 people died in a series of attacks in Paris. At least one suspected attacker is still at large. The so-called Daesh group said it carried out the gun and bomb attacks on November 13th. 5 people in Belgium had been charged with terrorism offenses in connection with the attacks. In Brussels, schools reopened Wednesday and public transport began running again from 6 o'clock GMT, although some metro lines have remained closed. However, the expected cities are expected to remain on its current top level of alert until at least next Monday. Belgian Foreign Minister Didier Reynders said the authorities were looking for about 10 suspects who may be involved in planning attacks, possibly in shopping centers. Meanwhile, it has emerged that Abdelhamid Abouad, the suspected ringleader who was killed in police raids in the Parisian suburb of Saint Denis, was near the Bataclan theater during the deadly siege there. French officials said he was in a vehicle that dropped attackers off at a cafe and restaurants, and they were also targeted on November 13th. Prosecutors say there's evidence that Abouad was planning a later attack in the La Défense business district. According to French broadcaster BFM, Abouad and his accomplices have bought suits in order to blend in among workers in the area. On Tuesday, an arrest warrant was issued in Belgium for a man named Mohamed Abrini over the attacks. Prosecutors say that 2 days before the attacks, he was seen driving a car with currently at-large suspect Salah Abdeslam at a petrol station on the motorway to Paris. Abrini is described as, quote, dangerous and probably armed. Abdeslam is currently the subject of an international manhunt after the attacks. The Renault Clio that Abrini was seen driving was later used in the attacks, prosecutors say. Police said he should not be approached by the public, unless you have a rifle, preferably one with a scope, and you can use it. No, actually bring the guy to justice so they can guillotine him or something, I don't know. In other developments, Belgian media say the authorities thwarted a series of attacks that were due to take place in Brussels on Sunday. RTL Radio reports that cafe, hotel, and restaurant owners in Paris have appealed for government aid to help offset and drop in income following the attacks. And Belgian prosecutors say on Tuesday they had partially identified two men taken into custody as Ali O and Larez A, both from Brussels district of Molenbeek. French President François Hollande is due to meet with German Chancellor Angela Merkel on Wednesday as part of a diplomatic push to address the threat from Daesh. Yesterday, Mr. Hollande met U.S. President Barack Obama in Washington, while on Thursday he is scheduled to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. Mr. Obama said there would be an increased cooperation with France to hit Daesh targets in Iraq and Syria. He also called on the EU to implement an agreement that would help require airlines to share passenger information in order to track suspected militants. How are they going to do that is my question. Probably through the ICAO is my guess, but I'm not sure. From yesterday, at least 12 people were killed when an explosion tore through a bus full of Tunisian presidential guards yesterday afternoon in an attack that one source said was probably the work of a suicide bomber. Ambulances rushed wounded from the scene, and security forces closed off streets around Mohammed V Avenue, one of the main streets in the capital Tunis, where the charred wreckage of the bus lay, not far from the Interior Ministry. It was the third major attack in Tunisia this year, after Islamist militant killed 38 foreigners at a beach hotel in the resort of Sousse in June, and gunmen killed 21 tourists at a Bardo museum in Tunis in March. The self-styled Daesh group, well, described by others as Daesh, but, the way it was worded, I'm not going to use other terms for them, claimed both of those attacks, the ones in tourists in Tunis and Sousse. Security sources said the guards were boarding the bus to be taken to the presidential palace on the outskirts of the city when it blew up. One presidential source said it was likely a bomber had detonated his explosive belt inside the bus. Quote, I was on Mohammed V, getting ready to get in my car when there was a huge explosion. I saw the bus blow up. There were bodies and blood everywhere, said bystander Basim Trifi. At least 12 guards were killed and 17 wounded, according to an Interior Ministry statement. President Beji Said Ebesi canceled a trip to Europe and said Tunis would be placed under curfew until 5 a.m. this morning. He reinstated a month-long state of emergency, temporarily giving government more executive flexibility, security forces more power, and restricting some civil rights. Mohammed V is a major boulevard, usually packed with traffic and pedestrians, and the site of several hotels and banks. We will have more news after this, but first, while we're at it, we'll have weather. And now the weather forecast for current Ohio for the rest of this week. Today, sunny, high 54. South, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 41. Breezy, south, 17 to 20 miles per hour. Thanksgiving Day, partly sunny, high 59. Breezy, south, 16 to 20 miles per hour. Thursday night, slight chance of showers after 2, mostly cloudy, low 51. South, 14 to 17 miles per hour. Precipitation chance, 20%. Friday, chance of showers before noon, then rain likely after noon. Cloudy, high 58. South, 13 to 18 miles per hour, becoming west in the afternoon. Precipitation chance, 70%. New precipitation between 1/10 and 1/4 of an inch. And Friday night, rain before 1, then chance of showers after 1. Cloudy, low 37. Precipitation chance, 70%. New precipitation amounts between 1/10 and 1/4 of an inch. And now weather forecast of some surrounding cities that you may be traveling to for your Thanksgiving weekend. Your extended weekend. Youngstown, Ohio. Today, sunny, high 55. Southeast, 8 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low 39. South, 9 to 11 miles per hour. Thanksgiving Day, mostly sunny, high 60. South, 10 to 13 miles per hour. And Thursday night, mostly cloudy, low 47. South, 9 miles per hour. Now for Toledo, Ohio. Today, sunny, high 54. South, 7 to 11 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 43. South, 16 miles per hour. Thanksgiving Day, cloudy, high 54. South, around 16 miles per hour. Thursday night, chance of showers mainly after 1. Cloudy, low 52. South, 15 miles per hour. Precipitation chance, 40%. New precipitation amounts less than 1/10 of an inch. Columbus, Ohio. Today, sunny, high 58. South, 7 to 9 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low 39. South, 10 miles per hour. Thanksgiving Day, partly sunny, high 59. South, 9 to 13 miles per hour. And Thursday night, partly cloudy, low 47. South, 9 miles per hour. And finally, Buffalo, New York. Today, sunny, high 49. South, 7 to 9 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low 41. South, 10 to 18 miles per hour. Thanksgiving Day, increasing clouds, high 55. Breezy, south, 15 to 20 miles per hour. And Thursday night, cloudy, low 49. South, 14 to 16 miles per hour. And that was not finally. I apologize. Now, Cincinnati, Ohio, finally. Today, sunny, high 59. South, 7 to 9 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low 40. South, 9 miles per hour. Thanksgiving Day, mostly sunny, high 61. South, 8 to 10 miles per hour. And Thursday night, slight chance of showers after 4. Partly cloudy, low 48. South, 8 to 10 miles per hour. Precipitation chance, 20%. Now we got the weather for not just Kirtland, but also surrounding cities that you may be traveling to for the weekend. Now we get back to the news. 3 white men wearing masks have shot 5 people protesting about the fatal police shooting of a black man in Minneapolis, say witnesses. None of the victims suffered life-threatening injuries in the incident on Monday night, and police on Tuesday said they have arrested 1 man. Regular protests have taken place since Jamar Clark was shot by police 10 days ago. Police deny he was handcuffed. Police use of force against African Americans has been an ongoing issue, obviously. Protests have been held nationwide for more than a year after a series of incidents, some of them fatal. The shooting of the 5 protesters happened outside about a block from the Minneapolis police station and has been the site of demonstrations for about a week. A witness told the Associated Press news agency that 3 mask-clad people who, quote, weren't supposed to be there showed up at the protest site. They soon left and were followed by a few protesters to a street corner where the masked men began firing. The shooting on Monday has prompted Clark's brother to call for an end to the protests, quote, out of imminent concern for the safety of the occupiers. Black Lives Matter, the movement organizing protests, had planned to announce, quote, next steps in the protest strategy. It is not clear if the announcement will happen in light of the shooting. Police said that Clark was a suspect in an assault case and was shot during a struggle with police that followed him trying to intervene with paramedics tending to the assault victim. Protesters have alleged that Clark was handcuffed when he was shot, a claim that police deny. A federal investigation is also being conducted to determine whether police intentionally violated Clark's civil rights during the incident. Pope Francis has arrived in Kenya for a three-nation African tour, his first to the continent as pontiff. Crowds have lined the streets of the capital, Nairobi, to welcome him to his three-day stay. An atheist group said it will challenge in court a government decision to declare Thursday a holiday in honor of the pontiff, local media reports. A leading Muslim cleric in Kenya welcomed the visit, saying it gave hope to the, quote, downtrodden in the slums. Pope Francis is also due to visit Uganda and Central African Republic, which has been hit by Christian-Muslim conflict. Quote, I go to joy to meet Kenyans, Ugandans, and our brothers in Central Africa, he told journalists on a plane, the AFP news agency reports. He played down fears for his safety by joking, quote, I'm more worried about the mosquitoes. I don't blame him. Malaria's a bitch. Kenya's government has set up to 10,000 police officers who may be deployed during the visit. Militant Islamists have carried out a spate of attacks in Kenya, including 2013 siege at Nairobi's Westgate shopping center, which left at least 67 dead, and the killing of about 150 people during an assault on the Garissa National University College in April of this year. A reporter from the British Broadcasting Corporation in Nairobi said about 30% of Kenyans, including the current president, are baptized Catholics, and there's huge excitement around the visit. One of Kenya's main newspapers, The Standard, welcomed him with headlines in Latin, Gleta Franciscus Pontifex, and the regional Swahili language, Karibu Papa Francis. The Pope, who is likely to travel in an open-top vehicle, is expected to tackle corruption, poverty, and religious conflict during his visit, which will start with a meeting with President Kenyatta. Abdallah Kwamana, the vice chairman of the Supreme Council of Kenyan Muslims, said he would attend an interfaith meeting with the pontiff is hosting on Thursday. He described the visit as highly significant and welcomes the Pope's decision to include a shantytown in his itinerary. Quote, it is often said that Kenya is owned by the rich and powerful. The people in the slums are never recognized, he said to the BBC's Newsday program. When he goes there, quote, when he goes there to see them and console them, they'll feel they are people of substance, he added. Pope Francis is due to hold a mass on Thursday at the University of Nairobi sports ground, where a crowd of more than 1 million people is expected, Kenya's private Daily Nation newspaper reports. The tiny atheist in Kenya group said the decision to declare Thursday a public holiday and a day of prayer was unconstitutional. Quote, the Constitution clearly states that there should be no state religion. We cannot have the government acting religiously, its leader, Harrison Mumia, said, Nation FM radio station reports. 1/6 of the world's Catholics are in Africa. It's a holiday for everyone. I don't get it. Wholesale outlet Costco is the latest retailer to be linked to an outbreak of E. coli. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said Costco's rotisserie chicken salad has been linked to 19 cases of E. coli. The agency said it was still not sure which ingredient was the cause of the outbreak. Costco said it stopped selling the chicken salad on November 20th when it was notified of the outbreak. This particular strain of the disease can be life-threatening, but no deaths have been reported as of yet. According to the CDC, 5 people have been taken to the hospital and 2 have reported kidney failure. Incidents of the outbreak have been reported in Montana, Utah, Colorado, California, Missouri, Virginia, and Washington. Officials this month linked an outbreak of E. coli to food served at branches of Mexican fast food chain Chipotle in Washington, Oregon, California, Ohio, New York, and Minnesota. And final story today. The Canadian government said it will resettle only 10,000 Syrian refugees by the end of this year, less than half the number it promised earlier. But it said it was still committed to bringing another 15,000 refugees from Syria by the end of February. It previously promised taking 25,000 by the year's end. Those who will be considered refugees include families, women at risk, and gay men and women. CBC News had reported the federal government would limit the resettlement to women, children, and families only. Newly elected Liberal government has committed itself to bringing in refugees during the election campaign. Officials said the delay did not have to do with security concerns. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he rejected the idea of, quote, exclusion for single men. Quote, we want them to have a roof over their head and the right support, said Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Minister John McCullum. Quote, it takes a bit of time to put them all in place. We're happy to take a little more time than originally planned to bring our new friends into the country. The refugees will both be privately sponsored and government assisted, either registered with the UN Refugee Agency or the government of Turkey. Government officials promised, quote, robust health and security screenings to be done overseas, and said military and private aircraft would assist with transportation of refugees to Canada. Refugees will go to 36 destination cities, 12 of them in Quebec. Mr. McCollum said the attacks in Paris did not affect the government's decision to start to slow down transportation of Syrian refugees, citing logistical struggles in completing the pledge. Moving 25,000 people is no easy task. Just ask anyone who goes on Hajj. Mr. Trudeau made Canada's acceptance of Syrian refugees central to his campaign. After the Paris attacks, he reiterated his commitment to ending Canadian airstrikes in Syria and Iraq. And that will conclude it for this edition of News at 10 here on Lake Effect Radio. And I thank you for listening.